Now, originally when I started working out, the goal was to look like a football player and move like Derrick Rose. Now, unfortunately, things didn't pan out like that because I ended up loving the gym. I quit hooping, and then when I returned to hooping, I was injury prone. Now, this video is not just about hoopers who are, muscular, but hoopers that are actually big and muscular. I'm not going to be focusing on guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has a lot of muscle, but he's still relatively lean and light. Derrick Rose is the same example. A lot of muscle, but still relatively lean and light. I'm focusing on those who are like generally just larger players that could possibly cross over to the NFL based off of their physiques alone. Guys like LeBron James, Eric Bledsoe, Ben Wallace, David Robinson, and a little bit of Westbrook. Oh, and of course Zion. Overall in this video, I'll be covering a bunch of categories like shooting and defense, how the size affects those certain categories, and then I'll give my personal perspective, my personal experience with me also doing the same and putting on a lot of size. And hopefully by the end of this video, you have an idea of whether you want to put on that weight, whether you find it worth it or not. The number one reason why a lot of hoopers don't want to get super big is definitely their jump shot. People think that once you get big, you can no longer shoot. But as you can see in the league, we have guys like LeBron James, Eric Bledsoe, like all these guys who are technically, not technically, but are literally in the NBA. They can shoot. They can shoot a lot better than your average person who claims that getting big will ruin their jump shot. Now, this is where things differ. I believe personally that people who are larger, physically more dominant, and also in that category, athletic, usually don't have as great as a jump shot because they never really needed one. They never had to train it. Guys like Stephen Curry, Trae Young, these smaller guys, Jalen Brunson even, smaller guys that don't have the greatest athletic ability, don't have the best size, only had one way to score growing up, and that was to shoot the ball, to shoot over taller people, because if they get to the rim, they're getting blocked. In the grand scheme of things, these guys are like 6 feet and above, so they're not that small, but in the league, they're small. But back to the larger players, for example, a guy like Zion Williamson. If you watch him in high school, he was going against 15-year-old white kids who were like miniature. Like these guys were all well under 6 feet, and he was bullying them. What's the point of having a jump shot? Now, if he was wise, he was just a kid, he'd be looking forward and saying, can this carry over to the league? Now, obviously it can because he's just way too physically dominant. But he never had to get a jump shot because he never needed it. A guy like LeBron James, who has a jump shot, he has a ridiculous work ethic. Like, if we're being realistic, he has one of the best work ethics that we have seen. So, of course, he was prone to get a jump shot. But as you can see, his muscle was not a limiting factor. Even if you go outside the NBA to YouTubers, like a guy like Nas, who is the captain of Big Guard U. If you know me from, I believe, the Next Chapter or one of those YouTube channels, he has a jump shot. Now, another thing that I'll add is his shot is relatively slow. He has like a set shot, really. Rob is in the same boat. His shot is quick, but he has a set shot. He doesn't jump that high. And it's because that muscle will probably have more upper body dominant, but they still have jump shots. It's just a matter of, once you get big, can you make those adjustments? Can you make those modifications to your jump shot and get the reps in? And you can definitely do that. Shooting is a skill. It's not going to be fully determined by how big you are. Now, in my personal experience, has getting big ruined my jump shot? I'll be honest with you, my jump shot was inconsistent before I got big and inconsistent after I got big. Nothing really changed. My form changed a bit, but my consistency did not change. I've never been one to really work on my jump shot, so that's what it is. I'm a streaky shooter. Now, this next benefit is probably the most stackable, and that's going to be intangibles, because there's just so many intangibles that come with getting bigger and being on the court. There's going to be so many that I probably can't get to. I'm only going to name a couple here. And if you have something that you want me to reference, or if you have something that you just want people to know, drop it in the comments and let me know that, hey, you missed this and this is another benefit. But the first thing that we're going to get to is mismatches. So the main thing that size does on the basketball court is that it creates a bunch of mismatches. It makes you much more of a versatile defender and offensive player. Now, let's take, for example, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Zion Williamson. These guys, for their respective positions, are relatively average height. But where things become a problem is that these guys are faster than a lot of people, and the people that they're not faster than, they're now stronger than. And if you're able to go against a taller defender and beat him to the rim, and then they get a switch on you off a pick and roll, and now you have someone who's maybe smaller and you can post them up, the versatility is endless. Like, there's gonna be mismatches all across the board They're not going to know what to do with you. On top of that, let's say you have one defender on you, and first possession you come up, you hit a mid-range pull-up. Second possession you come, you blow by him, get to the rim. Third possession you come, you post him up, back him down, easy lay. That's like such a demoralizing way to score on your opponent. Like, the versatility is just, it leaves your defender in shambles, and you're sitting there like, what am I supposed to do with this guy? You're gonna have to get switched off. Even for me, in my personal experience, I'm 5'9". A lot of people that defend me are taller than me. I can beat them to the paint very often. But every once in a while, I'll get someone around my height, and they may be quick, but if I take them to the post, there's really nothing that they could do with me. Now, another legitimate factor is defense. Now, defense is special because it has both of an intangible benefit and a tangible benefit. So let's start with the intangible. The first one being that people don't want to guard you, and people don't want to be guarded by you. So if you look at guys like LeBron James, Zion Williamson coming full speed down the court, defenders will often just let them go, because there's just a natural instinct not to get in front of something that's big and fast. And when playing defense yourself, people are hesitant to be physical with you because they know that you're definitely, or most likely, stronger than them. Now, real hoopers who have basketball strength, who are leaner and know how to use their body, this won't faze them. But for the majority of people who are not, they don't have the basketball IQ, this will just be enough to get them from stopping to attack the basket. They may feel one bump from you and just retreat, take a jump shot, or pass it. It happens to me all the time when I'm defending someone. A big part of how I play defense is the mental aspect, and people will very often just give up before they even try something. Now, on the technical side of defense, being bigger does make it easier for you to stick with your defender. It's kind of like 2K, where you have that magnetic force pulling the player to you. If you can just get a little bit of contact, it's like very difficult for them to get around you. Very often they'll retreat, or very often they'll just throw up a wild shot. And anyone who plays basketball for real knows basketball is very, very much a mental game, more of a mental game than it is physical, honestly. And once you get that mental edge, you win. Once you put fear in your opponent before you even touch the ball, you win. So the physical intimidation factor is very much a valid intangible asset. And obviously, finally, there's the strength component. I'm not going to get into much detail with this because it's very obvious. You're harder to back down, you're harder to box out, you're harder to get around on the perimeter. These are small things that happen on pretty much every single play, and over the course of a game can really wear down your opponent mentally and physically with their stamina also. So that's a given. Now let's get to the negatives. I will say that these are very subjective because I cannot interview NBA players and ask them, oh, what's your negatives or what's the downsides to you being a larger player? So I'm speaking from my personal experience and pretty much what I can observe on the TV. So I will say these are subjective, both of them or all of them but one, and that one will be stamina, because I can see Zion struggling on the TV just like I do. And Zion gets super burnt out. And I know it's deeper than just him being a larger, more muscular guy. He eats terribly, may have a questionable work ethic, and we don't know if he really wants to be in New Orleans. Valid points if you're gonna say that in the comments. But I do believe at a larger size, you do need to work a lot harder just to maintain your stamina. LeBron James puts a lot of money into his body. He spends a lot of time maintaining his physical conditioning. It's a lot of work. Everybody knows that larger muscles require more oxygen. So therefore, you need to be in better physical conditioning. Now, guys like Zion on the flip side don't work as hard. Guys like me, honestly, don't work as hard on their conditioning. It really takes a toll. So now in comparison to when you were smaller, you can't go 40 minutes anymore. You may be able to only go 25 or 30 minutes. It's a significant drop off in my personal opinion, and it's something that needs to be monitored. Now, I'm not saying that because you're larger, you cannot have great physical condition, AKA LeBron, but I just believe it takes a lot more work, and it's something that you need to be very mindful of. Now, the second one is purely subjective, and this is injuries. Now, I don't know that more muscular guys are injury prone, but I do know that heavier guys in general are more injury prone. On one side, you have someone like LeBron James who, for over the course of his, 21 years in the league, really does not have extensive injury history. He's been getting hurt, but like he's 40 now, so it's a completely different ball game. On the other side, you got someone like Zion who is hurt every single or every other game. So where the rest of the crowd falls, the older players like Ben Wallace, David Robinson, all those other guys, I find that they have relatively normal injury histories, nothing abnormal. If you are a heavier player, just in general, like a big, for example, chances are you're gonna have a little bit more injuries if you're trying to do some guard stuff in today's game. I will say from my personal experience, I had stopped hooping. I put on a lot of size. I came back to hooping and I had a lot of injuries, mainly tendon issues like elbow tendonitis, patellar tendonitis, which is jumper's knees if you're not familiar, Achilles tendonitis, and these were in both legs and just one elbow, my shooting elbow. But I found that just the workout volume in addition to hooping was just too much for my body and really took a toll on it. Now I'm at the point where I feel like I can balance them both without having any issues, but it took me a few years to get here, I'm not gonna lie. And it was very painful, and I know a lot of you don't have a lot of years or a few years if you're actually trying to go somewhere with hooping. Now the last thing I'll say, also very subjective, is mobility. But from what I see on the screen, larger players are stiffer and they're not as mobile and they don't look as fluid with the basketball. Russell Westbrook, he's a guard, has a decent handle, looks kind of stiff when he's dribbling. LeBron James looks very stiff when he's dribbling. Zion, very stiff when he's dribbling. These are heavier guys that they don't float the ball as much like a Kyrie Irving, like a Stephen Curry, because I think that repetitive movement of bouncing on your toes when you're a larger player, more muscular player, is gonna take a toll on you. So they're a lot more forceful and powerful than they are like springy in their movement. So I do think it does affect their mobility. You could argue whether that's mobility or not, or just a preference thing, but definitely your body naturally wants to be in a certain range of motion and does not want to exceed it or be outside of that certain range of motion very often. So I'll chalk it up to poor mobility or limited mobility, and we'll call it that. So that's all I got for this video. I will say, in my personal opinion, if you want to put on muscle, whether it's for on the court or off the court, go ahead and do it. But if you're really serious about hooping and you're thinking, should I do this? Will it ruin my chances of making it, or whatever the case is? I'm gonna be honest, the only person I'll say should not do it are those who are injury prone. If you have a bad injury history, I don't think you should go ahead and put on a lot of size, because more weight is more force and your body can't even handle the force that you have right now. So don't even bother. Just focus on getting stronger. Don't focus on putting on too much size and you'll be good. With that being said, I got some braids. So this is Jiggy Hills with the braids, AKA AI Jiggy, you feel me? Hold on. AI Jiggy. And I'm out, bruh.